Well, we're in this series on the hidden glory in service. And as was shared last week, loving God and loving our neighbour are the two greatest commandments of our scriptures, aren't they? God's kingdom and even our salvation all flow from his love. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. There's no other way around it. If it wasn't for his love, he's not going to give his son. It all flowed from his love. See what great love the Father hasn't just given us. John says he's lavished his love on us, that we should be called children of God. That is what we are. That's why he sent his son. If it weren't for God's love for us, there would be no salvation, no hope for us, no access to his eternal kingdom ever. And real love is manifest through serving. You can't help but serve that which you love. True? When you really love something or really love someone, you can't help but serve it. And sometimes the language lets us down a bit, but let's admit it. There's a whole lot of things that you love doing, and you sacrifice for it. You give time for it. You give money and resource to serve that thing that you love. Love can't help it. Our attention, time, energy, even our resources are given to the objects of our affection. And God calls us to love him and love our neighbour, those next to and around us, even if they're different to us or people we might even deem unworthy of our love. It's God's love through us that can change the most difficult people. And it's his love that we need to first change our own hearts, so mercy and grace flows through us rather than judgment or indifference. And we looked at that last week. It's not just an effort of your will. It's something of his love revealed within us that flows through us. That's what we need. But sometimes we can live in a community where we don't even know our neighbours or the needs around us. I think one of the great dangers for Christians in an affluent society like in New Zealand is that we're well able to build up our lives with good things to the point that we insulate our lives from the needs around us. Just chew on that a little bit. We're so able here in New Zealand to build our lives up, surrounded with so many good things, we actually become insulated from the needs around us. That is, my friends can all have their own homes, some money in the bank, their own car, food in the pantry, kids accessing good education, good sporting things and recreational opportunities. All good things, not bad. But if you and your family and your friends are all in that position and they're the only people you really spend much time with, then you're more likely to miss out on spending time with people who have obvious needs. If we're surrounded by people whose needs are all taken care of, and now the only people we're looking to spend time with, then how can we help people in need? We can insulate ourselves from that. We become our own little cocoon of happy Christians. The blessing of material resource and opportunity, a healthy bank account, they're not bad things, they're blessings. But if we only surround our lives with blessings and those enjoying the blessings of affluence, will we notice Jesus when he is hungry, thirsty, a stranger, needing clothes, sick, in prison, or pregnant, or addicted, dysfunctional, or depressed, odd, in state care, isolated, in a rest home? And yet, our city is full of people who are in need. Or in Jesus' words, the least of these brothers and sisters of mine. I pray that as you bring in God's tithe, as you give offerings to the needs that we present here, you experience a material blessing from heaven. That's a normal principle and promise of the kingdom of God. However, if our pursuit is mainly for building up a life of material abundance, comfort, security, recreation, good quality entertainment, new and better opportunities, are we going to notice or have time for the thousands of people in need around us. Referring back to that story, the parable of the Good Samaritan. See, that's the risk for Christians enjoying the blessing of God and the ever-increasing opportunities of an affluent, democratic Western nation. We're in a small pocket of the population of the world that enjoy that. The majority of the world don't have all that. So this means we have to be intentional and strategic about how to love and serve those in need in our city. That's one of the many things I like about the parable of the Good Samaritan, who stops on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho when he sees a man beaten and half dead on the side of the road. This all happened on a roadside. He didn't know the man. This was not a work colleague. It was not someone in his family. It wasn't his buddy. The Samaritan man was on his way somewhere to do something. He had plans, he had commitments, things get done. But he noticed someone in need on the side of the road, and he reprioritized his time to help. Ooh, ouch. He noticed, first of all, and then he reprioritized his time. All those things he was heading off to get done. He made changes. So the first thing we need to be as Christians is prayerfully intentional. We need to have less hurry, more margin in our day-to-day to be observant of the people around us, to pick up on the needs. Sometimes it might be a person on the street, but quite often it'll be a fellow parent of a child in your kid's sports team who's just really struggling. Or someone in your walking group, or someone in your school, someone at the company you work at, someone living next door. But if you're praying to see people as Jesus sees them, the least of these brothers, these sisters of mine, they're my family. When you're praying to see them as Jesus sees them, you're slowing down to notice and get to know people. You start to see when, in Jesus' words, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger. You invited me in. I needed clothes. You clothed me. I was sick. You looked after me. I was in prison. You came to visit me. If we're too busy and too full to notice or have time for people in need, then we're too busy and too full. If we're too busy and too full to notice and have time, then we're just too busy, too full. We have to rearrange priorities. We have to start pruning things back. Because when you stand before the King on that day, he's not going to be looking at, oh, what did you get up to? Did you have some fun? What sort of activities? Well, how much did you save? How much did you... He's going to be looking at, what did you do for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine? Well, it's pretty busy. Life is pretty full. With what? He's going to cut to the chase. That's what Matthew 25 says. On that day, he separates the peoples according to the way we looked after those in need, these brothers and sisters of Jesus. So we have to choose to be prayerfully intentional. That's prayerfully. That is, we're conditioning our heart through prayer. We're praying for people. We're praying for people we need. We know. We're praying for people we don't know. We're praying that we'll be observant to those around us, not busy under the next thing so we have no time. Now, sometimes we have to get somewhere and there is busyness, but it's that commitment. Actually, I'm going to go and find that person. Make time. And then how? The wisdom of God, the wise strategy. How do I help people in all the different needs that exist in our communities and city? For example, if you came to know a family in your street or your sports team or your child's classroom who is a family member in prison, how would you love and serve that family or that inmate? When they come out of prison, what would love do to help them reintegrate back into community and find support, hope, direction for the future? It would be easy to be encouraging and friendly, and that's a great start. But if there's tension in the family, If employers don't want to employ them because they have a criminal record, or they face a stigma wherever they go, so they struggle to belong in any community of people, what can I do to love them where they're at? Wisdom. How do we do this? My love needs to be powerful, have ability to cause effect, and be wise, know what, how, and when to do things. Or if you have someone in your place of study, or neighbourhood, or sports team who is pregnant and don't feel that they had the resources or skills or family support to raise a child, what would love do? Simply tell them not to abort because it's wrong and then leave them in their worry, their fear, and their lack? Love operates with mercy. This is the basics of what we commonly call compassion. And compassion always wants to serve the need. How could we love a woman who is worrying about bringing a baby into the world today? We must always start with God's love filling our heart and lives, because that's what motivates and empowers us to genuinely love and serve those in need around us. As has been taught in previous messages, we're not serving to obey some law on service. Love can't help but serve, because that's what love does. When we love others, we recognize the needs and we want to be involved. And today I invited some special guests to share how their workplace serves some of the needs in our communities in this city. My hope is that you'll be inspired by the work their organisations do, and you'll be equipped with further wisdom and understanding in how to love people in need, and how you can work with such kingdom organisations to together manifest the transformational reality of God's kingdom in this city. That is, love our neighbours with the powerful and wise love of Jesus. So I want to say thank you to Rhonda and Matthew, who are here from two different organisations this morning, and they're going to come up about 10 minutes and share a bit about their organisations and about what they do in the city. There was another one that we couldn't quite get hold of for the Sunday because he's leading worship at his church this morning, but he's the CEO, I think, of New Zealand Spinal Trust, who's here in Burwood, and all the work they do, and the church gives money to them each year. There's so many cool kingdom organisations that are serving needs in this city. And there's ways that we can learn from them and actually support and work with them. So I think Rhonda's up first. Welcome back, Rhonda. Oh, I'll leave my questions up there for you.
Pulled my notes.
I forgot I have to use a mic. Just up in front of you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? It's nice to be back, actually. I'm a bit nervous, though, because I know some of you. Anyway, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Rhonda, and I work for an organisation called Pregnancy Choice in Christchurch. I've brought notes with me. I'm super organised as always. So I just want to tell you a little bit about our organisation and the work we do. Pregnancy Choice is actually national. We've got 10 branches around New Zealand. We operate neutrally by design, and I look after the Christchurch branch. So we are a free and confidential service to support women and families that are facing unplanned pregnancy. So we're based in the city. We're on a really good route, close to the bus stops and the bus exchange, so we get a lot of foot traffic and so a lot of women that come in to see us are coming in because they want a free pregnancy test, and they are usually going through an unexpected pregnancy. So it's a little bit of a shock for them. For those of you that have been pregnant before and maybe weren't planning it, it can come as a shock. But when you have complications in your situation, it makes it even more scary. So by the time that women come to us, there's usually things going on for them. So it might be isolation or fear, lack of practical support. There might be some grief. They might be going through baby loss. We get a lot of young people, so girls as young as 14 through, so they're quite young, quite scared. But we also get women that are older who have thought, I'm actually past this stage of my life and I don't want to have another child. So they come in, they get their free pregnancy test, and then they want to sit with someone and talk through what are their options. So I just want to say we're not medical professionals. We just get to sit with women in that moment that can be a little bit scary for them. So by the time they get to us, their fear is already up here, and it's really hard to make a reasoned or a well thought out decision when your emotions are really high. So often when we are talking to them, a lot of it is actually just about helping them get from this high emotional point a little bit more reasoned, and so we help them to unpack what's going on for them, what are their fears, and then slowly help them remove a layer of fear at a time. So it might be pressure from a partner, they don't have enough money, they don't have housing, they've got pressure from family, they don't want to quit their job, and all of these reasons, and these are just a few, are reasons that women are just, they see abortion as an easier option than actually continuing with their pregnancy. We sit neutrally because it actually means that we remove religion from the conversation, and I think that's hugely important because women are coming in, they're already judging themselves and they already think that we're going to tell them what to do. And so we just want them to know that when they come in, we're here to listen to them, there's compassion, there's no judgment, there's support. It's all very well to tell them the truth, but love without mercy can often lead women down a path to the abortion clinic anyway, because they're already judging themselves. We also run an op shop called Flourish, and the op shop is part of the pregnancy choice model. So every pregnancy choice throughout Christchurch, there's 10 pregnancy choices in New Zealand, has an op shop. Our one is called, everyone's got a different name for their op shop. Ours is called Flourish, and every op shop has a koha room. So the koha room is full of baby furniture items and nursery items, and it's all donated by the community and checked by our team, and then put out for anyone to take on a give what you can and take what you need kind of basis. So that's my favourite part. But the main thing about the op shop is actually it's easier for women to come into an op shop than it is for them to go to a clinic. So we often find, especially the young girls, they'll come in and they'll circle the jewellery or the dresses, and we know that they want someone to talk to. And the team, there's about 30 in the team, are trained, so they look out for those girls and they very discreetly ask them if they want someone to talk to, and we take them through to a room so that they can talk through their options. We do talk about all their options. We talk through what it looks like for them to keep their baby. We talk about what an abortion is, and we talk about adoption. My personal view is, how cool would it be if we could make abortion rare in New Zealand? But the way that we're going to do that is actually by allowing room for a conversation. And so from a distance, we can make all these judgments maybe about issues, maybe about pregnancy and abortion, but when you're sitting in the room across from a lady that is crying and she feels overwhelmed and afraid and alone and just at a loss, it's quite a different story. And so love really has to become practical. It has to be in serving. I just have found over the years that these women that come in, they're not trying to debate with us whether or not abortion is a good idea. They are actually facing other issues: isolation, pressure, fear, pressure from partners, get rid of it, or I'm going to get rid of you. From family, you're going to ruin our lives. From losing a job or losing study, from not having enough support, from doing it alone. they're all real fears. So I really see it as a privilege for us to sit in the room with these women and help unpack what's going on for them, because it's different for every person, and then just remove the barriers or the obstacles. It's not always easy, and we can't solve all of the problems for them, but sometimes it's just about naming what the problem is, and when they get to name it out loud, it kind of takes the fear out of it, and then they can also see that they're not alone in it. I look after the whole of the Christchurch branch, so the staff and the volunteer team. We have 6 staff and 30 volunteers, so I get to be involved from that side, but actually my favourite part is the frontline work, so on purpose I stay involved with all the work, walk-in clients. We also run a national chat line and also the 0800 phone line. That's the mission, and that's the heart of the work, and so it is. I really do see it as a privilege to talk to these women. I know what a lot of these women have gone through. Like, that's the story of my life. So for me personally, it's a privilege, but also interesting. And I said this to Nigel earlier, it's interesting how I look back at my life and I see how I've fallen or I've landed in work where everything that has been in my life can help serve other women. So I really do see it as a privilege and a blessing. What matters most to me about the work that we're part of is that women don't get left alone in fear, because fear can be crippling. It's really overwhelming, and it can be super lonely as well. So for us as a team, it's about helping each woman maintain their dignity, but just support them through whatever it is, because they're literally trying to survive a moment that just feels huge for them and they don't know what to do. Sometimes when women come in, they tell us what their situation is, and we like to stay in our lane, so we actually work with a whole lot of other organisations that can put support around them. I think I bring that up because it's super important for us even to not act on our own. We don't act in a silo, we act as part of a community. If they come to us with a housing crisis, we're going to connect them with the people that are experts. If they come to us with problems for counselling or finances, it's for us to help connect them. So I think in that sense we act as connectors, and just remember that we are part of a bigger community. The main needs that we see in the organisation are like what I said, which is fear and isolation. Those are the big ones. There's so much shame for these women that come in and they're unexpectedly pregnant, which is the main reason why they're sitting with us, and they've got all these questions. Can I afford it? Is my partner going to leave? What am I going to do about work? Like I said, all of these questions. So the main things that we are doing is really, again, trying to help reduce the barriers and talk it through. We don't need to be medical professionals to sit across from someone and say, what's going on for you? And how can I help you? Or who's your support person? And that's the thing that I probably ask these ladies the most is, who's in your corner? And most of them don't have anyone. And we assume that they might have family or a husband or whatever it is, but that's actually not the case. And so we step into that gap while they are able to identify a person in their life that they can walk alongside. So we get to walk alongside a lot of women just because they don't have that person in their life. There's a lot of practical needs, so baby clothing, car seat, cots, pushchairs, prams, you name it. There's so much need, and especially with the cost of everything these days, that need has increased exponentially. We are fortunate that we have a pretty good support, so a lot of the community bring us cots and pushchairs, and like I said, and we clean it up and we're able to give it out on a koha basis, so that's exciting. We also support women after abortion. the reality is that a lot of women, we're talking 20, 30, 40 years on, carry grief and regret and sadness and shame. And so we also are there and available for women to come in and find support post-abortion, which is so hugely needed. And I'm just going to say this not from a pregnancy choice perspective, but from my perspective. As a Christian, if a woman has an abortion and then comes to know the Lord, or has an abortion and already does, she has this belief that she made this conscious decision, and therefore she can't have any regret or shame or guilt because she made that decision consciously. But the reality is that no one walks in wanting an abortion because they just feel like it, that was the best decision on the day. The majority of women that want an abortion is because they are trapped in whatever their situation is and they can't see another way out. And so that's why post-abortion support really does matter, because it actually helps women find freedom. And you can only find freedom through the Lord. So the post-abortion support is actually Christian-based, and we do let women know that. So the practical ways that people can help, I would say the first thing is becoming the person that they can talk to. So if someone says to you, I've just found out I'm pregnant, maybe don't panic or judge them or lecture them, just listen. They actually just need someone to talk to, and if you feel like you can't do that, you can send them to us. But really they are just in this big moment of shock or overwhelm, so I would just say listen, and then you can say simple things like how are you feeling, do you feel safe, what support do you have around you, because that's actually is going to help them understand how they're feeling as well. Then love has to get really practical. So supporting organisations like the work that we do is super helpful. It might be that you want to volunteer. We love volunteers. You might want to donate baby items or equipment to the mum involved, or to organisations like ours. We're one of many. It actually might be that you just want to pray, and we need so much prayer in our organisation because we know the fight we're in, we know the battle, and we see it every single day. And although we're neutral, we know that the war is not here. And so, and we really feel it every single day. So we pray regularly as a team because we need to arm ourselves. And then the fourth thing, and this one I was just thinking about just this morning, is being careful with our language. When we speak harshly about teen pregnancy or single parenting or beneficiaries or messy families or abortion, and I'm not for abortion, but when you speak really harshly about it, you actually close the door to the conversation. And actually the conversation matters, because when you allow them to talk about what they really think about abortion, you can slowly dismantle what's going on for them. A lot of women don't even know the truth about abortion in New Zealand. They don't know that you can get an abortion up to 20 weeks self-referred and up to 40 with 2 health practitioners signing it off. They don't know that there's up to 50 abortions a day in New Zealand, or there was in the last 12 months. They don't know that after 20 weeks, if you decide to have an abortion, you have to register it as a birth and a death. Like, there's just these little things that they don't know, and there's a whole lot to it. But so sometimes loving them is just telling them the truth, but doing it in a real merciful, compassionate way. And so I think for pregnancy choice, we are just trying to do it in a practical way, serving women, whether it's talking to them in person, talking to them over the phone or on the chat line, meeting them in the koha room. We are just leaving the door open for the conversation, and just loving them where they're at. Cool.
Well done. That is so good. Thank you, Rhonda. So appreciate that. Isn't that wisdom? So how do we help? What are they going through? And some things that maybe you've never been around and never thought about. And I love that, especially we know there's a lot of information in the Christian world about pro-life and anti-abortion, but often people can't hear that. They just hear anti-me. That's the problem, isn't it? Judging me and my failures and where I'm at, and so things get closed down. So if we've got loving communities that lead with love, gracious, merciful love, then there's a whole lot more. And I love the fact with what you're doing, Rhonda, and your organisation, that it's providing options when people think there are no options. Support when they have no support. Man, what if churches wrap around people more to provide so much support and love and grace and help? I think we'd change some of those statistics. We've got from Pathways, Matthew, thank you. Come on up. He's going to share a bit about what Pathway Trust is about, and both of them will be available after the service. You've got some questions as well. Bless you, bro.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you for inviting me. Usually my boss, she does what I call the clicky thing, and then she talks in a very matter-of-fact way about Pathway with the clicky thing, and then I come up and talk about the heart of Pathway. So I'm not going to do the clicky thing. I'm going to leave that part out and just let you know about the heart of Pathway. So there's a bunch of questions here, and I don't know about you guys, but since I turned 50, this out of it thing happened, and someone's come into my house and made all the words in my book more blurrier, and that same person has done it to these notes too. So, but I'm sure we'll get through it. So tell us about the organisation and the purpose and core work. It's Jesus, really, if you sum it up. It's redemption, it's love, it's seeing people beyond what they've done. So what we do is we work with men who have been in prison for a very long time, that have probably had that world and that life ingrained into them, and we offer them a chance to see something different and live something different. And this might be the first time for a lot of our men that they've ever been surrounded by someone that says, I love you, I believe in you, and there's actually something different out there than the cycle you keep going back to. Because this recidivism thing, which loves to get thrown out, recidivism, high recidivism, what they're really saying is a lack of love and support when they come out, and they go back to what they know. So Pathway Trust has created a unit in the prison called the Navigate Unit. And it's a unit of 20 beds where men come and live in a flatting situation where it's the closest thing to the real world that they'll get before they get out. It's revolutionary because we're not contracted to corrections. We've got no contract at all. It's a memorandum of understanding where we get to go and bring love and service to, like you said, the least of my people, although they are far from the least of his people. And so in that space, they get to come and experience community. They get to come and experience life on the outside, so they'll get to go shopping. They'll get to go into the community with a guard, but they get to go in and they get to taste a little bit of what it's like. That's the practical. But what I love is the stuff that isn't so practical. So my favourite thing when I meet someone is to get to know them, and then over time I'll go, love you, brother, as I'm leaving. And he'll go, and then a few months later, as I've been saying it, love you, brother, and he'll go, which is love you too, and I'm scared to say it. Yeah. And then about 6 to 7 months later, love you, brother. Love you too much. About a year later, as you're leaving, love you, brother. Because love's got it in. I might not have said the name Jesus once, but if God is love, God's got it in. Right? So that's kind of what we do. It's called reintegration. That's the flash word for it. But I just call it loving people. Right? Reintegration's the title, and yes, we do reintegration, and we take reintegration very serious. But it's serving and loving people. It's taking what was given us, which was the ultimate sacrifice, and going, oh, probably should give a bit of that away, right? So yeah, that's pathway in a nutshell. What role do I play or within the organisation? Well, the flash word is I'm a reintegration navigator. Flash, eh? Yeah. What that looks like is going into the unit and building relationship with the men. They're used to very transactional relationships. Their case manager, are you going to get me out or not? How long is this going to take? For me, it's relationship. What's going on? How are you? How does your heart work? You know that stuff inside of you that caused you to do that horrible stuff, and some of it's very horrible stuff? I would use the word evil, but no less or more evil than the evil we've all been saved from at some level, right? Because there's not going to be an evil competition when we stand before God, right? There's just going to be like, did you receive salvation or not? So, hey, that stuff inside of you, how's that working? That trauma inside of you, that anger inside of you, that stuff from your childhood, how's that going? And hey, let's just pour love on that little boy inside of you and see what comes out. That's what happens in there. And yes, then they get out, and there is a lot of practical stuff to do. But the core of it is that. And I can tell you about and I will tell you about all the practical stuff. But if that's not the core of it, then we're just another organisation that gets funded and then we do what we do, right? But that's the core of it. Does that make sense? Awesome. I'm making sense. Thank you, Jesus. So what's important to me about the work I'm part of? Every one of us at Pathways has got a different story. But you see me there with my daughter today, right? And she bangs into me and I bang into her, and we sing and we laugh, and then I'll go home and I'll walk into a home to a wahine who's not afraid of me. And I won't get drunk or high tonight. And I'm not in prison. And I'm not destroying the world around me. And I'm sowing love into the future so she doesn't repeat a cycle of trauma. And the reason I'm doing that is a bunch of people seen this angry gangster IV drug user of 20 odd years, and they somehow thought, because they believed that this King of Kings, Jesus Christ, was real, and they believed he was worthy of love, sowed love into him over and over and over again. Even when he went and used again, they sowed love into him over and over and over again until that love manifested in a changed life. And this changed life has rippled into my daughter's life, because I sometimes shudder at the thought of the life that she would have by now if she was with the man I was before love healed my trauma through the King of Kings. Right? So that's why I do what I do, because I might have to give a bit of that away, right? It's not all mine. Because I could selfishly hold on to it. But I owe, and I will owe for the rest of my life. You can't see them, but there's hundreds of people that loved me, that stood behind me, and a vast majority of those people believed that it's because Jesus Christ came to this earth, went on a cross and died for me, and that I could have redemption. And then when I went to say thank you, they went, oh, no, don't thank us, go and give it away. So that's why I do what I do. And at some level, at Pathway, that's why we all do what we do. What is the main needs that our organisation sees in the people that we work with? Man, they're vast. They are so vast. There's the practical stuff, and yes, we provide it. We have 2 houses in the community, so there is 2 houses that the men can go to live for up to 3 to 6 months, where they can, some of them for the first time, experience flatting, having their own place. And it's theirs, no one else lives with them. It's their place. Yes, there's getting into employment, and the thing about Pathway is it's not just reintegration. We run another organisation called Alifold, which sells chairs, etc. And the funding of those chairs, from those chairs, go into our organisation. And we also have a divaning company, and our men can work for them. Isn't that cool? But not just our men, for anyone, it's designed for anyone that has a problem getting into employment or has barriers. So barriers can mean a lot of things. One of them could be a criminal history. So here's an opportunity for the first time for some of our men in their lives to work. We have an employment consultant. We have people with multi-level skills that we tap them into. And hopefully, along the way, these beautiful men get a chance to try something different. What are the practical ways people here can help? Look, I always say, just think about what you do in your own life. Like, you might have hobbies. I like to joke and say, some of you might belong to a group that on a Friday night where you crochet trousers. And who knows, you might go, that's stupid, but I belong to the crochet trouser group. And I'll go, one of the brothers loves crocheting trousers. Man, he's been looking for that. And so that's one of the ways. Like, you just might have a hobby, it might be a sports group, it might be something that you could say, hey, if any of your men are ever looking for this thing, this is what we do on a Thursday night, or this is what we do on a Tuesday night. Because it'd be surprising how much these men get value from just being part of something in the community that's different. Because by being with you guys, they get introduced to other people. And I suppose the example I'd use is that once upon a time I didn't speak like this. I spoke like this, be and fun. Ora was every word that came out my mouth, and this and that and everything else. And then I got a chance to be in a community with people, and I was like, oh yeah. And I learned different ways of speaking, and I learned different ways of communicating. And the first time I got angry at somebody over something that was applicable to be angry in this world, that they looked at me like I was an idiot but still loved me, because that community of people thought different. And so I was influenced by that community of people. Does that make sense? So whatever you're doing in your life that might have a group of people attached to it could be the thing that could help just one of our men. I always say prayer support. There'll be at least 2 times a year in my life that things just get weirdly chaotic. And I might not want to do the work anymore. And then I go, oh yeah, scaly face. So, man, if you want to ever just commit to praying for Pathway for a year, and those of us that work there and cover us, that's massive. Financial support, if you ever want to sow into Pathway, that's greatly appreciated, but not the main thing. But unfortunately, we don't just run on tongues. partnership with us, church groups, connection, all that stuff. All that stuff is valuable. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. I'd like to tell you about a couple of our men, just briefly. I went to pick up one of our guys today now. He took a life, and he was a very, 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 very dark man in soul, in attitude. And about 4 or 5 years ago, he had an encounter with God. When I pick him up in the morning, he's got worship music playing and he's reading his word. And this is what I love about the job I do, is that guess who doesn't always have worship in the morning and read his word? So I'm going to serve him, and then what he's doing convicts me, and he ends up serving me, and he doesn't even know it. He serves me, because without even saying it, the King of Kings is going, what aren't you doing lately? That's the beauty. Isn't that beautiful? I just think that's stunning. Another one of our guys is a lifetime member of the Mungo Mob. And in order to change his life around, he's decided to live in Christchurch and not go back home. And he, for the first time in his life, is experiencing community, something different, a world outside of the world he knows. And we'll be driving sometimes and he'll go, I think I'm getting a bit soft. And I'll go, why? He goes, somebody looked at me wrong the other day and I thought they're probably just having a bad day. But if you just think about that, it's beautiful and it's funny, but just think about what would happen if he didn't have the opportunity for that person who looked at them wrong, the community, his life. And he always goes like this, I think I'm getting a bit soft because I don't want to go back to jail anymore. I think I like it here. He was steeped in it from a child in the 60s. So that world is, going to jail is cool, harden up, do more jail, and be completely chaotic. And he's going, I'm questioning all that. It looks stupid. Well, that's because it is stupid, brother. But do you understand? Like, those are just little things, but they're big things. So the practical stuff, it's out the back if you want to talk about it. I'm going to be sitting out the back. There's brochures and pamphlets, and we can talk about the clicky stuff. But I thought, I'm not really into clicky. I'm into the heart of it. So what do? What we do is we take what Jesus did, redemption, and we try and give it to men that a lot of the world would say are unredeemable. And we try and say, you actually are. You are. And while it's not always the case, some of them get to know Jesus along the way. And even if they don't and come out and be better dads and husbands and don't have their wives scared of them, then I can absolutely testify by that beautiful human being's life that it's worth it. Because I know the life she would have had not people done that for me. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rau tātou katoa. Kia ora.
Marvellous. Thanks so much for making time for us, Matthew and Rhonda, and very cool to hear some of these stories and details and see what other people have created along the way to make a difference. And I'd love to continue to communicate with both the organisations about our church and ways that we can connect and support. And there's other organisations as well you hear more about throughout the year. But isn't it good just to hear not just the heart of the people, but the wisdom of how to love and how to serve. And we're doing lots of cool things here. So there might be some ways that we will actually be intentionally working with organisations to help those in the community that are our neighbours, basically, and looking what we can do. So just keep an eye out for that. But just a reminder of being prayerfully intentional. It starts with really praying about what's in God's heart, that they'd be manifest in our heart. Because you've already got things in your heart, but we need to really tune into what's in His heart. And when we have His heart, we see people differently, we live differently, and we become redemptional in what we can change. But it does take a wise strategy of how do we go about this, and that's where partnering with others who work in these areas is really wise for all of us to learn more from what they've learned. And both these organisations have been around for years, been tested through many fires, have had to figure things out along the way, and so they've got a lot of wisdom to share with us. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from them. But please, at the end of the service, if you've got some questions, ask them. They'd love to tell you, and I'll let you know more about any other opportunities that come along our way. But keep in mind that we're a worshipping community of disciples on mission, so our relationships and our building of community together is part of the whole journey in seeing people's lives transformed. Because we don't just invite them to a meeting and then send them home again. We invite them into a community, a whānau, a family of God, where they can belong in relationships. But that can only happen in the reality of that love for one another here, in relationship and community. So as we build this and open up the doors, open up our hearts, people come and they find grace, they find mercy, and they find the transforming love of God. So ask God for wisdom in this, ask God for His heart, that we'd see people differently and we'd recognise the opportunities and needs around us, and have a think about what might need some pruning in your timetable and your calendar. What are the things that your timetable and calendar is chasing after? Does it need to be pruned back so you've got more time to respond, to engage, to be part of other lives?